Hubway rolls back into Boston. We'll catch up with the city's bike czar as the cycling season shifts into high gear. And the crowded field of mayoral hopefuls grows even bigger.
You know what I will have? The strongest grassroots campaign.
We'll talk about the role race could play come Election Day, plus translating a musical masterpiece on the canvas.
The music came inspired by art. And so we're flipping it around and creating art inspired by the music.
Now on Greater Boston. Good evening, I'm Jared Bowen in for Emily Rooney. The snow is gone, temps are rising, so it's time to hit the road. Boston's bike share program is back. Hubway stations in and around the city, not to mention Cambridge, Somerville and Brookline, are stocked and ready to rent. The program, which launched in 2011, has been lauded as a major success of the Menino administration. And to keep up with unanticipated demand, this year more bikes have been added. And also tomorrow, the mayor will reportedly beef up his own bike support when he unveils his budget plan. I am joined now by Nicole Freedman, director of Boston Bikes, which oversees the Hubway program. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So there's a lot of conversation now, all of a sudden, around bikes in this country, certainly in this city, and it has happened fairly quickly. What do you think has really led off this cultural shift that so many people are leaving the cars in the garage whenever they can and just taking to bikes?
I think for the mayor and around the country, it's really that cycling is at the nexus of really three important initiatives. One, the environment and sustainability. Two, health and obesity. And three, economic development and a new economy.
So what are you seeing? I mean, we certainly see that numbers are up, but how substantial is the population that you're seeing transfer over to using bikes?
Since the mayor started the program in 2007, we've had about an 83% increase in ridership, and that continues to grow. And we're seeing the same thing nationally. Obviously, Boston's growing a little bit faster, actually substantially faster, but all around the country, in Boston, new people, that's almost a doubling of ridership.
And how much of the cues were taken from Europe? This is something we often read about, too. So many of cities in Copenhagen, Amsterdam, I mean, these are cities which, by and large, are bike cities now, almost predominantly, right?
Well, I think Copenhagen is one of the best. Up to 30% of their trips are made by bike. In the U.S., Minneapolis and Portland are at the top. They have about 7% of the trips made by bike. Boston is way above average. Just about 2% of trips are made by bike. But when we started our program here in Boston, we were one of the worst cities in the country. And what we said is, look, cities all over the United States have done this. Let's take the best practices and bring those to Boston. And it was putting in bike lanes, putting in bike racks, and launching the Hubway bike share system.
And how does it happen? I mean, is it conversation? Are people just talking about it? Are they, again, taking their cues from Europe? Or, as you say, it's inspired by the conversation around the environment and obesity? I mean, how has word gotten out that this is a program that can work in the city now?
One thing we said is, if we make it safe, people will bike. And there's been so many studies that show New York City, Pennsylvania, up to 50% of the population wants to bike if they can be safe. So when we put in 60 miles of bike lane, we put in the Hubway system, we put in the racks, we've done education programs to make it safer, to make cars aware of cyclists, to give cyclists the skills.
But it's not entirely safe, because there have been a lot of accidents. There have been a number of accidents, I should say. Mm-hmm. They're all high profile because it doesn't necessarily work well in this city. People, especially in cars, there's a tension there. So how are you managing the safety issue? One
of our main priorities is always to make sure the roads are as safe as possible. Right now we're working internally to review all of the data we have from EMS, Emergency Medical Services, and police, and put together a crash report. And we hope that'll be out by the end of this month or the beginning of next month. And that will really guide a lot of our safety programs and initiatives. where we can do enforcement, what type of education works, who to target, and how to target them.
Because I would imagine there's a great deal of struggle in Boston and other cities like Cambridge and Somerville and Brookline that have these bike share programs, because these are old cities, and so you only have so much road to work with, and so you have the bikes trying to, I drive by, coming here to GBH every day in Brighton, I'm driving by bicyclists every day, and you do have to be aware, because the road seems to have been winnowed down to some degree.
Yeah. People ask that all the time, and I always say every city has its strengths and its challenges. And for Boston, we're a flat city, we're a dense city, we have a very high population of young adults. Cycling is the fastest way around town. And even though we have narrow streets, there's still a significant number where you can get in a bike lane. And then in addition, we have all the great paths. We've got the Charles River Path, we've got the Southwest Corridor, Emerald Necklace, and you put it all together, and what we've developed so far is a great network, and where we're going is a tremendous and unparalleled network.
So one of the program that you work with is Hubway, but I was reading today that Zagster is a program, a bike share program that has started up in Cambridge. So how does it work? Is Hubway something that the city is overseeing and has partnered with? And then how does that work when you have a competitor like Zagster come along that wants to also have a part of that market?
Yep, for us, we don't see it as competition. Our goal from a city is get people riding, make it as safe as possible. Hubway is about short, quick, utilitarian trips, and sort of some of the main features are you can take trips that are one way. So I can go from here to a Red Sox game. If it starts to rain, boom, I'm going to take the T back or take a cab. The second thing is it's all very spontaneous trips. I don't have to go on a website, make a reservation. I walk by a station, there it is. I swipe my card and I take a bike. And then the third thing is station density. We have 72 stations in Boston. They're every 300-400 yards, and that means it's always close to an origin and close to a destination.
So there's concern, too, that there aren't enough bike stations in places like Roxbury and Dorchester. So if you're taking those sort of concentric circles and moving them out so that you have stations that can get into those areas, how long is it going to take before you have a well-populated bike share program in Dorchester and Roxbury and other places like that?
Yeah, I think it's actually good to look at what we do have, because from an equity perspective, we are one of the best in the country, if not. So we do have a lot of stations in Dorchester. We have stations in Roxbury. And I think where we really stood out was subsidized memberships. For the mayor, we wanted the system to be about and for everybody in the city. And so we had a program, and we said we're going to distribute 500 subsidized memberships. These will be $5 for low-income residents, and we did it. And what's interesting is we looked at other cities in the country. Maybe they gave away 100, but that means about 8% of our ridership is really low income.
All right. Well, Nicole Freedman, the city's bike czar, thank you so much for biking over here today. I saw your bike here, so I know you did it. Thank you so much for coming.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.